I'm outside on the balcony doing my thing. I got pigeons making whatever noise they be making and shit. Hey, bruh, we in the game. What's popping? How you doing?
I'm
How you
good, man.
doing?
I'm pretty good. I can't complain.
All right, that's what I like to hear, bro. That's what I like to hear. Be out here tripping and shit. Yo, I'm gonna just jump out and ask you. Have you seen that little Nas X bullshit? That video he was going off on,
I've seen like
or
parts of it, but
any
I've
clips or
seen
anything?
most. I've mostly just seen people like losing their minds about it.
Hey, bruh, don't get me wrong. I know people. Oh, that's an old topic. It's not even about that. I'm just looking at it like this. You can portray your art any way you want to, but at the same time, you got to remember if you are quote unquote like a person that a lot of kids like and things like that, it's just unfortunate that you yourself are going to go through those what do they call it, like I don't want to call it like a downfall or nothing, but backlash. That's what they call it, backlash, where it's like, oh, he did this and he did that, bro.
Polarizing moment
I
because
I
it's very
I
controversial.
yeah, like on some like people would like trying to be like on some Marilyn Manson shit, but yo, that's that's a different approach in my opinion because it's like when you're doing things to like shock value things, it sucks because it seems like you have to just continuously do shock value shit in order to up the last one you did, opposed to okay, it's about the art. Because if it's about him trying to display, I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you. I haven't heard the song. I've only seen like little clips, and I was like, nah, bro. My man was acting a fool, dancing and twerking and shit on the devil and shit. I said, oh hell no. I said, hell no, he wildin'. He wildin', bro. This young man is
Good.
wildin'. But yo, man, all I'm saying is I just wanted to bring that up to see if you saw it because I was like, yo, shit is real out here.
I dig some of the ideas he was going with there, like the whole like Nike with like devil's blood made from it, stuff like that. I thought that was really interesting. Like the whole like consumers culture made off like I don't know. I like that whole take off of it that I saw from it anyways, but that's just me.
Yeah, I was gonna say build on that because I kind of see where you're going with it as far as like the kids or whatever who are making the shoes. Like the shoes are being built off their blood, and don't get me wrong, bro. Like that's definitely you can I believe you can make that correlation, but at the same
100%.
time, it's like people have a strange way of how they want to combat whether it's what do they call it, big business or whatever, how they combat that. People have very strange ways, if that's even what he was going for. I feel like for him to come out with a shoe and for Nike to say, hey man, we have nothing to do with that, man. We putting out a
He's
cease
getting
and
sued
desist.
by Nike.
But it's more of a cease and desist of like I think I don't know if they've moved to some type of lawsuit. I thought it was more of a like that he has to stop producing them and things of that nature. Which don't get me wrong, granted that was the case. If it was just like yo, you got to stop producing them. The damage is already done, quote unquote. The damage is already done.
Exactly.
People have already seen and oh, he's this type of person, this that and the third, and Nike's a part of it. And then it's like, hey, bro, the damage is done as far as if you were worrying about that hurting your brand. But at the same time, bro, like flipping it to another shoe company, Adidas, bro, they got certain designers making Adidas shoes with like ankle ankle like braces on it, looking like either some type of slavery slash prison, like you know how like the prisoners would have the things, the cuffs on their wrist and on their ankles,
Oh
bro.
boy.
And this is like a long time ago though. This is like what's the because it's not about, I'm not trying to say it on some type of defamation. I'm saying it on the fact of how people were perceiving the shoes. It was like a famous designer, something Scott, something Scott. It was a guy, and he has like wings on the side of his Adidas. Yeah, like, and it
I'm
was just like, it
Googling
was like,
it.
yes, look like something Scott, Adidas
Oh,
with like chains on the shoe. Either way, it threw me off like a few years ago when I saw those ones.
are you fucking kidding me?
Do you see those? Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's like a
That's
kind of
so
similar thing.
bad.
No, because as jacked up as it might sound, I'm not saying that his inspiration was this, but you might remember that, and it still happens to this day. But there was like a big craze where people were getting hurt and killed, and having their Jordans and shit stolen off their feet. That was like a
Oh,
time,
okay.
and I don't know if like he has some type of inspiration, but like my man's got like some type of like chains on the shoes, as if that's supposed to like stop anything. And it's like, what the hell? Like this is a weird
Fuck.
artistic piece. But yeah, man,
And
I
they're
just say all that to
gold
say,
too. That's the worst part is they're fucking
right?
gold chains too. That's like, oh.
That doesn't make no sense, right? It's one of those things though that like I guess it kind of brings into like a conversation of just what are we, because art is art. I get that, and we're supposed to be free as far as artists to express how we want to. But it's like at what cost? It just makes me think if it's all for shock value, bro, then is it really art? I know it's supposed to be provoking, yes. But if it's specifically just to be like, oh, I'm gonna put a video out of me harming children, bro, that's not art at that point. You're just trying to shock people and shit like that. That's not art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's your take? What's your take on art nowadays, bro?
Before we get into that, I just want to say without those chains on it, I would actually wear those shoes, no question.
There's some okay
Without those
shoes. There's
chains,
some
those are
okay
some
shoes.
sick shoes.
There's some
But as
okay
soon as you
shoes,
put those
right?
chains on, I'm tarnished.
It's like what's the point? What was the point? You know what I mean? Because he had his own little design where he's like he puts the wings on the side of the shoes, almost like the old Greek mythology shoes
I
that like
just when I was just Googling it there, those were the first ones that came up, those wing shoes. Those look sick, like Hermes.
that's what it Hermes, yeah, like Hermes basically. Like I think pretty sure that's his inspiration. But I just bro, it just threw me off because I was like when I first saw them like a couple years ago or whatever, I was like, what the fuck? And people are
So,
wearing them and shit, lining up and shit.
but your question originally, like where it becomes like where's the line of like shock and like just art? Where is it all just like at one? It's such a complex question, man. Like I've studied it for a long time, that concept. Like I've taken a lot of classes that have made changed my like perception on where that line is or if that line exists. I see it more as like a spectrum sort of thing. Like it can
Okay.
be shocking, but it can still have art like potential to it. But there's a certain like
Yeah.
threshold where it does cross to become okay. You're just being shocking now, and there is no artistic value inherently to it. But this is also you're also talking to a guy who enjoys deathmatch wrestling, where I see an artistic value to that. So my judgment's a bit skewed when it comes to this stuff. But like
But
I
yeah,
don't
that's
know,
not
man.
even.
Like
But think about like it doesn't have to be that your judgment's skewed, bro. That's something you enjoy and that's okay. But because, for example, the people who are in that realm, like whether it's the death matches or people who like the bravado of bullfighting, people who like different like it's not that it's not about being that it's not entertaining, that it's not something that you can get something from, but it's more of the I feel like it's more of the influence they're trying to put out, like, oh yo, we want you to do this too type shit. Like, not to say that like because that's like if you're gonna have just using a little Nas X example, if you're gonna use that, okay, I got the symbolicism of I'm some type of demon. I got the symbolicism of when I get to hell, I'm gonna take it over. This, that, and the third, and it's like it just makes you think like I don't know, man. There's sexuality in it within. It's like he's acting a fool and doing basically stuff with the devil or whatever. And I'm looking at it like yo, because on the flip side, if you doing all that but you in heaven and you and Jesus is cool and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
that would
Like
have been a lot
that
worse.
I mean, hey, I mean, you know, but no, because at the flip side of that, my boy Tupac made a video talking about I ain't mad at you, and he's kind of like in the video, he's like kind of like an angel kind of thing, you know what I mean, doing this thing and talking to one of his homies and shit. But so it's like it's not that it automatically would be worse. It's more of how you what the song's about, what you're saying, kind of thing.
Well,
Like
if
I
he
don't
went up
know,
to
man. It
heaven and
just
was twerking on God and doing all the shit he was in the
no,
video,
no,
that
no,
would have
but
been a
no. That's
lot
what
worse.
no, yeah. In the same, yeah, him having the same premise of saying that he's gonna be like a quote unquote like evil person within heaven. Okay, yeah, but I'm saying like if he had the flip side where he's just like bigging up whatever it is, like or saying like, yo, I want us all to come together or whatever, like whoever, like an angel or whatever. I'm saying like if he took the opposite approach, I don't know if it would have been worse, but yes, you're right. As far as if he had the same concept of him and Jesus is acting a fool and being sexual and all that, then yeah, it would have been worse. But yo, man, like I'm just saying, I guess it's like that art. Like I kind of, I guess we can kind of, if you're down for a few more minutes, like talk about that art, like that art versus life. Where can I know there's no, we can't say that there's a line, but why is it that we have to feel like, because now people are going to perceive this young man as that's him. He is a quote unquote evil person, or like people like even like Michael Jackson in the Thriller video. Like this guy, how many people for years after thought that like, nah, man, Michael Jackson's a demon worshiper. Look at the video he made. When realistically, it was just supposed to be quote unquote art. You know what I mean? And he put Michael Jackson put the disclaimer saying, I do not believe in the occult X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Nas X, he just starts the video and it's wild from the start. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? But so that's why I just wanted to bring it up.
To me, that all comes back to like personal like interpretation of the people like who like how they perceive it when it comes to that level of like if you look at him like a demon worshiper and all that, whatever. I just see it as it's a shocking music video. I kind of see it as a very, very funny that he got a lot of fans with that Old Town Road. And then this is what he does. I think that's brilliant on his part, just to like fuck everybody off who's like not a real fan sort of thing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's very different. I'm going to take a different approach to this because I've been a metalhead my entire life. So the whole idea of
but is metal equivalent with some type of negativity or some type of demonic shit?
Some people look at it like that.
But you being someone who listens to it a lot, maybe does a lot of research on that type of art, what's your take on that? Is because if it's not inherently supposed to be something evil, then you know what I mean? Then people are kind of just putting their own metal's inherently this. But if you can expand on that.
Well, there's some credence to it because there's some bands that are like legit Satanists and they're believing all that, but they're not evil, but they're not legit evil people. The only like seriously evil people I've ever seen come from this community have been involved with some strain of like Nazi like ideology or just Mayhem, the band Mayhem. That whole band, like early on, like the days, they were fucking crazy, but that was all what they were about, was just being like the most shocking at the time when everyone else was like, oh, we're all like, you know, it was a whole other story. And that devolved into like somebody actually getting murdered because of it. And a guy spending 21 years in prison and churches being burned down across the country, all because of this one like group of people sort of thing that were just into that sort of shit. So,
okay, hold up. I did not know that, Trent. So, I can see how that can be perceived as evil then. Okay,
so we have that. We have that on the one hand. And then we have like Judas Priest and stuff like that, and like Iron Maiden, like talking about like the number of the beast and stuff like that. And so there's different levels to Iron Maiden and stuff are just like artists. They just wanted to talk about this stuff because I guess that stuff was just what they were intrigued by at that time. I can't really specifically speak to that at that song for that specific song, but it's always had that element of like, not so much like demon worshiping, but like demon interest and stuff like that. Just like, I don't know how else to put it other than that. Like, just, it was for like part of it for shock purposes, but also I think out of like a legit like interest of like exploring just these concepts and stuff like that, because there's a lot of very, very fascinating literature on stuff like this. And it's something I've actually been reading a bit about like in the past. I haven't been much recently, but it's just fascinating. Just some of the literature goes into explaining like the concepts of like just visions of hell and like demon and demon possessions of humans and stuff like that. It's a very, very deep and rich like literature that's gone back for like pretty much our entire like existence on human earth. It's just a matter of taking that and then turning it into some like shocking, you know, to some people, others like shocking to the senses, be like, this is some of the best music I've ever fucking heard. So it's really all a matter of perception. It's how I see it on that end of the spectrum.
Yeah. No, and you're right, because I can look at it like it is definitely down to perception. But on the flip side, like when people do, like you said, knowingly put, 666 and all that quote unquote Satan stuff. When people do inherently put those images and things in their songs for their fans to repeat it and things like that. And because in my opinion, Trent, words have power. Some people express that words themselves are things that we conjure up as far as like different types of, whether you want to look at it like spells, things like that. That's why they call it, that's why they call it quote unquote spelling. What I say is, to that same point, for the same people who put that energy into like researching negative things, the same people can put that type of energy into the quote unquote other side of it. And so I'm not talking about specifically gospel music, but I'm talking about stuff like, even like people who speak about wanting to learn more about life, have more in life, find yourself within life, et cetera, et cetera. they're not focusing on the destruction of it. Because, for example, however you want to interpret, let's just say, like if you were ever to try to do certain religious texts, they say that this here, this place we are now, Trent, aka Earth, they say that this is quote unquote Satan's playground or whatever. Like he owns this domain, and they say quote unquote it's not like when two people are arguing, it's not necessarily a battle of flesh and blood. It's a battle of principalities, aka higher different forces, energies, however you want to look at it, spiritual, however you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like there's some credence to that because within the certain art, like when I listen to certain music, and if you have like certain like libations within you or whatever, like whether it's herbs or alcohol or whatever, it could cause you to want to do something negative, or it could cause you to want to do something positive. You start crying and shit like, yo man, I just want to make a change in my life, blah blah blah. Certain music can bring, it seems like it can bring those things out of you, right? So it's like it's different, bro. It's different. That's why, like, but continue, sorry, go ahead, man.
And it really, all it comes back to is, like I said, like even if it is putting like this negative like ideology and stuff out there, it is really just, from what my experience is, it like listening to like Slayer and like all these crazy like dark bands as like with dark ideology, like dark imagery and dark themes and whatnot. It's catharsis. That's all it is. It's nothing like I want to go be like these people they talk about in the songs. No, it's all just about like getting like that energy out of you and just, oh, I feel a lot better now because I got all that out of me, sort of thing. That's all it is. Like all the way down the line, it's all it is. It's just catharsis. It's nothing to do with like, I don't know, putting the bad energy out there. Just dark. It's just dark themes. That's it.
Okay. And I'm glad you said that, like that it's not about putting the dark energy out there for you specifically. And I'm glad you said that, because on the flip side of things, bro, we got to look at it like this. If I'm constantly putting out art that is to provoke you in a negative way, but then I'm expressing to you, no, I'm a good guy, there has to be a disconnect there. Reason why I say there has to be a disconnect there, I'm talking about just me specifically. If I was doing this, why there would be a disconnect is because they say art is life, life is art, like how in the sense they're simultaneous, like or like it's there's a, in my opinion, like there's so much power within that, and us channeling that quote unquote energy, that word you use, energy, us channeling that out, bro, us going to the point of like, yo, if I put this negative energy out there, it's not going to be destroyed, bro. It's going to be transferred to someone else, aka that's why, like, when people are at concerts and they're singing along to what's a quote unquote positive art, Taylor Swift, and they're singing along to Taylor Swift, and all of a sudden they're friggin' crying and this, that, and the third, and like mothers and daughters are like building stronger bonds and shit like that. But then, granted, you go to a certain rock concert, and what are they doing in the audience? A mosh pit. Next thing you know, people are leaving there with broken arms and shit. Though they might say they like it, and don't get me wrong, you can express that feels great, nothing's wrong with that. But granted, you're the person who gets accidentally paralyzed or something like that at a concert. That's when it's like, oh shit, because you have to remember, like, that it's not about saying that me putting a judgment on. I'm saying in the sense of the energy we provoke or the energy we put out there, in my opinion, has to, like, that's why people say keep that same energy. It has to match what's like your core nucleus. Not saying that you have to be one side or the other of the spectrum, but it's like, I feel like if you're putting out negative energy, but you're constantly like, no, I'm a good person, there's a disconnect there. That's the point I'm making. That's all I have to say.
I guess I see that.
What would be your thoughts on that?
I see that point, but it also, I feel like that is also focusing like way too heavy on like a fringe amount of like cases that have been negative and just discredited.
No, I'm not talking about the metal group. I'm not talking about the metal groups, but continue your point. I was just meant like music in general. Because there's rap artists, bro. There's rap artists who talk about, not to cut you off, but there's rap artists that talk about, yo, I caught 3 bodies yesterday. I killed 3 people. And then they get killed 2 months later or whatever. Bro, it's the energy you're putting out there. So it's not that I'm talking about quote unquote metal, but continue. Sorry.
But I think when it comes to like a lot of like, it's hard, especially when you're trying to interpret like who the people are based on their art. And that's really difficult unless you know, like,
yes, you're right.
Unless you know sort of thing, then it's hard to interpret that. Especially when it comes to like pop music, I really discredit anything that comes out of them just because like it's so overproduced through the corporate system and all that. But anyways, that's nonetheless.
Yeah.
Continue. The point I was gonna make, but like honestly, it's hard to describe. It's like it's like you get like the aggressions out in a way like to not to use the negative energies. That's the only way I can put it.
No, and that's the beauty. That's why I'm saying that's the beauty of it, because you're right. For you, that's the beauty of it, and that's it's like a case by case basis. It's not. That's why I was trying to not say that. It's not that I'm trying to group all. That's why I wasn't trying to group all metal bands or anything like that, or death or scream, even scream, like, bro, like I like certain like System of a Down songs, and however you want to classify them. I'm saying I like certain songs.
Yeah.
There's certain groups where it's like this speaks to me. I love a lot of Led Zeppelin songs. Well, I can't. Sorry, that's a cap. That's a cap. That's a cap. I can't act like I know every song, but I'm saying I love about 10. I love about 10. I love about 10.
More than one.
And to love, and that's what I was gonna say. And to love like 10-ish songs from an artist is pretty sick. Although they have an extensive career, but anyway, I digress. I'm just saying, bro. Like for you specifically, for you to be able to get those energies, because we got to. I like to focus on that word energy for a second. Like for us to get that out of us, we're transferring it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Is the point? Is the point I'm making? Now, when we transfer these energies, bro, like I feel like to where we're putting them, like because if we're putting them into the abyss where Rick James used to love to go,
Mm-hmm.
if you listen to the Charlie Murphy
Yep.
Hollywood stories, yo, bro, this guy loved to be in the abyss, bro. So I'm saying if I throw my energies there, that's all. Then it just turns into like it's just where we transferring this energy as artists and things like that. Because like me being an artist, you being an artist, different things like that. Like that's why I'm trying to ask these questions. It's not more of a like a judgment or indictment on any of our characters to say, Trent, you listen to this, Graham, you listen to this, you guys are
No,
wrong.
no, no. I
It's
get
not
you.
about that. Yeah, it's not about that. It's more about if we're gonna be producing these energy, especially for the people who have the word cult followings, cult fan bases, that's you have to ask just where like it's not about a judgment again because we don't know the person personally, but it's just all we know is what they show us. So if they're constantly showing us, okay, I want us to get blood or whatever rained on us and da 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 da, like or whatever like hardcore songs might say, you have to think, am I really supposed to have blood raining on me right now? Like just
Yeah.
I'm making light of it, but I'm making, but yeah, it's just something I'm asking. Even with certain rap artists, get promiscuous women, pimp all the hoes, blah 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 blah. Am I really supposed to, when I love my mom and my sisters? Am I really supposed to be doing that? Shit like that is what I'm saying, my G. Like that's the question I'm asking about the energy.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a very, definitely, it's definitely something. It definitely speaks to a lot
Yeah,
of, I think this is something like, definitely something we've been coming a lot more like all of us have been becoming a lot more conscious to in the last like recent years. Like there's
yeah,
always been like that, oh, like the moral, like minority or whatever that was always like mostly like religious groups talking about this sort of stuff. But like at the same time, I understand what you're coming from because there's also like, I have ideas for stuff like I want to do talking about like how like that sort of like popular entertainment kind of shaped the way like people think and like a whole generation and that like changed the entire world basically because how they were thinking like this because of X, Y, and Z based on the music they're listening to and everything else, right? So it's very interesting. It's definitely something that's um it's hard to like quantify and hard to like pick out like, oh, this changed this because of this and like all that sort of thing, but like it's definitely a factor. Like it's definitely a factor of not just the energy you put out there, but definitely a factor of like shaping how like you are sort of thing, especially even listening for a young age to
no,
now
it's
anything like that.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And to add to that point though, it's like without even putting it on a strictly moral situation, bro. I'm looking at like or from like a religious or from like a uh, uh, ethical standpoint. I'm looking at it
Mm-hmm.
from a survival standpoint. Granted, I'm putting out energy that is to harm you. The energy that I'm gonna receive is okay. When I see this person, it has to go down. It has to be a harmful situation. For example, it's like any like certain rappers, for example, they might express like, oh, uh, I'm the hardest this, I'm the most gangster that, and that's cool, bruh, because it's like survival is survival. But it's like granted you want to invite that energy to you and someone actually like Jay Prince, one of the dopest, most mobile uh from down south individuals, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Created Rap a Lot I'm sorry, no, it's all good. He's just a dope person. Created Rap a Lot records, all that stuff. It's just all I'm saying is he has a famous quote where he says, "If you keep on campaigning, you're gonna get elected." Just think about it from that standpoint.
That makes sense.
Perfect sense. Like it's like, but that goes across the board in the sense of art. Granted, you're gonna keep saying, "I'm the son of this. I'm the son of Satan. I'm the son of whatever." Right? You're gonna keep saying that, bro. People are gonna perceive that. Something to think about is all I'm saying. Like as far as if you're gonna keep campaigning, you can get elected. But it goes for all of us. So it's like it goes back to their survival. Now, I'm not saying like artists can't talk like, yo, man, why do artists talk about negative? I talk about negative stuff. Shit, it's our reality sometimes. But what I'm saying is,
Exactly.
it's just the um once these big bands get to places where they're like, yo, man, I'm in a different space, they can talk about whatever they want. They can talk about killing animals and drinking their blood and all. They can talk about all that type of stuff till they're blue in the face, and nothing's wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, the people who follow are definitely going to want to emulate that energy. That's all I'm saying, and that's the beauty.
Exactly.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of art, though. That's why when I ask certain questions like, "Yo, man, do we really know about the energy and the warfare that we can potentially be bringing to ourselves?" And that's all. You know what I mean? That's why I like when you
Mm-hmm.
earlier in the episode when you used the word energy, bro, because that was like a good kind of topic as far as just because Lil Nas, whoever it's Bob Dylan talk about life, and whether it's Johnny Cash talking about being a man in black and having to just, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff is relevant, bro. All that stuff is relevant. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're I'm a dark man, bro, like it is what it is. You're gonna cover yourself in black. It is what it is. Like or the highwaymen we spoke about a few weeks back, bro. Like I'm just saying, like those guys were just like on some G shit. But see, even back then, Willie Nelson was talking about how he was a highwayman robbing motherfuckers, but then he was talking about how they caught his ass and he had to pay that retribution by getting hung. Bro, I'm just saying, even back then, he was talking about both sides and shit. He was Willie Nelson was, but just I digress. But you see where I'm going? The energy he put out,
No,
bro.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It all makes
That's the
sense.
beauty. Yeah, that's the beauty of it, you know. But on another note, uh, so now I took a little break. I took a little break from the herbs and spices. Getting
Mm-hmm.
we spoke about this. I stepped back into it on a whim, on a whim, like let me you know what I mean, let me test the water, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And the first encounters I have with it on some, like, like, oh, do you believe in signs and shit like that. The first few encounters I have with it, bro, like my tolerance is so low, bro. Like I'm tripping at that point. Like as far as like, so I'm thinking to myself like maybe I should just. I'm saying this more on a comedic factor where it's like I'm sitting here like you catch yourself doing stuff like you catch yourself just doing just basically high shit. Yeah, I mean, you catch yourself just doing hella high shit, and you're saying to yourself like, bro, what am I saying? Let me fall back again. Like, what's really popping? Like, I find it super funny, bro. Like,
That's
just on
hilarious.
another note, I'm sorry. Like it's just okay. For example, you mess around, open your your apartment door or whatever with the key. Go in the apartment, leave the key outside the apartment, and don't even realize that you leave the key out the apartment for like 30 minutes. Now,
Jesus
don't get me
Christ.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Some people are forgetful, stuff like that. But it's like, and I was in an extreme rush because I did have to go to the washroom. Like I could have left the apartment door could have just like kind of closed, bro. And like I didn't even like really care in that regard because it's like I'm saying in the sense of like I was rushing because you can't be out here acting a fool. But I say all that to say, bro, like, yo, bro, for the people who fall back and take their little breaks and stuff off the herbs, it's like just be careful when you come back in because I basically got some fire. I got some fire, and that's what made me do it, bro. It's not like this ain't no bullshit weed. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm doing this shit I'm doing. I'm high shit. I'm high as hell, running home. I gotta go to the washroom, leave my key outside the apartment.
Especially if you haven't like smoked for a long time and you get in some of this legal weed. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Be careful. Holy
Bro,
hell.
don't make no sense. Because I grabbed some OG Kush. Then I fucked around, and grabbed some Khalifa Kush.
Yep.
I put a little nug of each inside the grinder. Bam, 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 bam. Sprinkles, you know, I'm hitting the bong like you just did. We out here. And next thing you know, like I'm tripping. Like I got a suitcase packed. I got a goddamn duffel bag. I'm tripping. I'm ready to go to the airport, bro. That's how much I'm tripping. So I just like, yo, for the people who fall back and chill, just remember when you get back into it, brace yourself.
It's not a race. Just take it at your own pace. That's all I can say.
But Trent, that's the thing. I took two motherfucking bong hits, and it's not like being like I'm talking about. Like I didn't know my tolerance. I stopped for a week, bro, not 4 months, a week. And when I came back, it's just like, yo, man, like mans ain't never got right before. You know what I mean? Like I never took flight before. Like I ain't never had my pilot license before. You know what I'm saying? That's what it felt like. That's what it felt. That's the type of herbs. Khalifa Kush, OG Kush. Put them both in the grinder, said, and it's like, yo, all I could hear in my head was, here am I sitting in a tin can. I was in the sky, bro. I was gone. Far beyond the world. No, but I see over there, you got the Mighty Ducks jersey. Yo, this guy's wild. He said we
always
represent, bro.
Gordon Bombay.
This guy's killing me still. Like Gordon Bombay in this bitch, yo. Hit you with that triple D, bro. Hit you with that triple D. Yeah, man. Hey, to the listeners, just remember, yo, like if you can, do your best to be positive, bro. Like do your best to remember, hey, one day at a time. You can't be out here tripping on worrying about what other people think, bro. Exactly. Go at your pace. Go at your pace, man. Like just on another note, you know. And yo, my name's Graham.
I'm Trent.
And this is Ultra Fly Talk, bro. Thanks for rocking with us. Double O, when you double O in the go. Hey yo, taking steps to